Hi, welcome. I am Marci Goolsby. I am a primary care sports medicine physician at Hospital for Special Surgery in New York. I'm also one of the team physicians for the New York Liberty, coming on my 10th season with the team. And I'd like to welcome our other participants, Dr. Joe Hannafin.
Hi, I'm Joe Hannafin. I'm an orthopedic surgeon who's also a team physician for the Liberty. And this will be the beginning of my 16th season with the team. And it's awesome taking care of these women.
And with us today, we have the legend, Teresa Weatherspoon.
Hello, everyone. This is really, really awesome to be with you all. You all have a lot of years with the Liberty, which we are so thankful that you guys are a part of everything that we've done and continue to try to do. Of course, I had an opportunity to play with the Liberty, and I've had an opportunity to come back and be a player development coach for the Liberty. So I've been connected for a very long time, and it's also very, very good to always stay connected.
So during this difficult time, everybody's been dealing with the COVID pandemic in different ways, and the WNBA and the New York Liberty are not unique in that everybody's trying to figure out what the best plan is, with player safety and staff safety being the #1 priority. I think some of the players are also dealing with their own personal situations and how to train and how to kind of be ready for when season does start. There are a lot of things that are unknowns, a lot of uncertainties that are still out there surrounding this pandemic that we have to sit back and wait and see what's going on. But I know there's a lot of conversations going on at the league level and amongst the teams about what the best steps are moving forward. So a lot of planning taking place. Teresa, do you want to talk any about what you have been doing down there and how you've been working with your players?
Well, the very first thing is to make sure, like you said, it's all about player safety. And that sometimes when it first started, the suspension started, it was more about, get away from the game, spend the time with your families, because that's the most important thing, is to make sure you're healthy, spending time with your family and clear your mind. But as we were moving on with COVID and seeing what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, it was very important to try to piece together something for the guys to continue to still to be able to do, because it's important to stay active and be ready for what is to come. And I think that's the one thing that has been really important to us, of how do we keep these young guys active and ready to go, because it's important that you still do your PD work, still stay in the weight room, still do the little bit of extra that you were doing before all of this started to happen. But it's important that we stay connected, still do our part of staying home and being very, very careful of this pandemic, because it is really, really is a very serious thing. But when it comes down to the athlete, it's all about us piecing together those things that are necessary for them to stay ready.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that, right now it's so important to take care of the physicality, the physical health of the athletes, but just as important is the mental health and making sure we're staying connected with them emotionally and mentally. Dr. Hannafin, do you want to talk a little bit about how our medical staff has been communicating and working with some of the players?
Yeah, what we've started to do is to set up a program where they can Zoom call us, and they can have their preseason assessment done in advance electronically or through the web, and try and get a sense of troubleshooting any issues that they have. Our athletic trainer, Teresa Weatherspoon, has sent out a training program to all the athletes for some maintenance training that they need to do leading up to the beginning of the season. And the other thing is actually following what they're doing on social media. A lot of them are posting their workouts. Kia Stokes is showing all of the yoga work she's doing, and you can see how physically fit she is. Other people are just shooting around and showing that. And I found it interesting that in the NBA, a number of men have gone out to actually buy basketball hoops for their backyards because they didn't have them. Because they have so much time at an arena, they don't have a hoop at their home. And so people have actually gone out to purchase basketball hoops to have in their homes so that they can just shoot around and do things in the privacy and the safety of their own home.
Yeah, I think it's forced people to get a little creative, but it's also created an opportunity to work on things that they, now have the time to really focus in on. So things like good core strengthening, good hip strengthening that don't require equipment or a trainer or something special. Teresa, do you have any input on that, on some of the creative ways some of the players have been keeping in shape and getting strong?
I tell you, so I think everyone is taking every bit of the equipment out of Walmart, just try to make sure you have some type of equipment to work with. But it has been amazing to watch this. I think this has been tremendously amazing to me, is when you're playing a game and then the game is taken. And when you're playing that game, you sit and you start to question your commitment. Man, it has been taken away from me, and I really want to get back to it. Was I as committed to the game as it was going than I am right now? Right now, you see a tremendous amount of players all across the world and how committed they are to what they're doing. I think it has helped you kind of see yourself in a different light, to really find more about yourself that you probably didn't think was a part of you, because you're so busy in your schedule. You're so busy in what you do. And when the world stopped, and it's basically what happened, the world stopped. Now it's time for you to be as creative as possible to still remain that elite athlete that you so desire to become or to remain.
Yeah, a lot of time for self-reflection.
Yes.
For a lot of people.
I think the other piece is that it's also self-motivation. And I think when people are coming up through sports in high school or college, you have to have a tremendous amount of self-motivation to stay there, because you might not have the optimal coaching and the other things that you need. And then the more you get along the pathway to great college coaches or great pro coaches, you have the feedback from your team and your coach every day. And I think that maybe that shifts where the motivation comes from a little bit. And I think now everyone has to stand back a bit and think about their own self-motivation.
They're probably also
take care of a national rowing team as well. And they're all training on their own. And they're very motivated. They do Zoom sessions together to compare the workouts they're doing. And I think the athletes now become more self-reliant, which is a positive thing.
I think
it is so positive. I agree with you. But the one thing that I don't want to see change is the discipline and the desire that you have right now. When you begin playing the sport that you desire, that same desire and discipline and commitment should not change. It should go to another level of elevation. That's what you really want to see, is now that there's a tremendous amount of discipline and commitment and dedication to your sport and your desire to become great and desire to play again, that same fire has to remain. That's what I really want to see, is that same fire never dying out.
Yeah, I think it's probably allowing people to also find some things that they enjoy doing to keep in shape, that they really enjoy, that they may not be able to fit in or do in other times a year. So that's good for the mental health part too.
Right.
I think the other thing that's good for the mental health, though, is actually a chance for people to be with their families, and to have a little bit of break from the intensity of the lives that they lead with travel and being on all the time for their sport. They get to have a little more private time, which I think is going to be rejuvenating for a lot of people, as long as it doesn't last too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Hannafin, for you to say that is something that I haven't had an opportunity to do since I was 18 years old. This is something I sat back, I was like, wow, I haven't been able to do this since I was 18 years old, to be around my family, to be able to help my great niece and great nephew play the game of basketball, to ride four-wheelers, to be on bicycles, riding all over Little Pine Land where I'm from. But I haven't had a chance to do that, and it has been absolutely amazing and rejuvenating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm sure a lot of athletes are experiencing that as well. I think, now's a really exciting time for women's sports. All three of us have been recipients of the life lessons that we've learned as being involved in sports throughout our lives. And it's really great to see the momentum that women's sports has right now, particularly around the recent WNBA draft and our exciting number 1 pick with Sabrina Ionescu. And I think that I think it's an interesting time, because I think that the pandemic right now is probably not going to impact that momentum. And I think we'll just pick up where we left off when things resume. But I'd love to hear your input on it, both Dr. Hannafin and Teresa?
Well, I think first of all, we'll start with the new CBA. New CBA really was huge for women in sports, period. Especially for us in the WNBA. It was really big of how our girls went to the table, and there was a plan at the table. And we had everyone at the table to agree with what is necessary for us to take the level of basketball, women's basketball, to the next level. And it had to make some changes. It was necessary for those changes to be made, and everybody at the table agreed. And that was a positive thing, to walk away knowing that everyone wants the game to go to another level. And that's huge. And then you talk about the gift and the talent of the players that are being brought into the league. And we as the old heads will say, hey, we were pretty talented. But when you talk about, we were pretty talented. But now I think the difference is the versatility of the players. It's almost like a positionless game now. You have an open floor of all 5 people out on the floor being able to almost do basically the same thing, whether it's 1, 2, 3s, 4s, or 5s. They're almost able to do some of the same things, but it is the versatility of the game, the flexibility of the game, the speed, the quickness, and the excitement of the game has tremendously changed because of the people that you're putting together on teams, the veterans and then some of the rookies. It's the combination of the veterans and the rookie, and putting that together, the talent level, and then all the teams now look pretty parallel.
And I think the excitement is reflected even in the media attention in New York City. I mean, it may in part be because baseball hadn't started. There wasn't much in the sports page of the New York Times, but there was a lot of coverage of women's basketball in the time around the draft in the New York Times. You hope that that's going to continue. That excitement will continue as they start to watch this new team gel and learn to play together. New coach, new arena in New York, which are pretty hardcore Liberty fans in New York City.
You said some key stuff, Dr. Hannafin, about the media, because that is the most valuable piece there, is to make sure that we get our sport out there to everyone, for everyone to see. Is to put the eyes up on the sport. We have the talent, we have the ability. Now it's about the media being a part of what we do to get it out there to the people, to put the eyes on the sport. That is a valuable piece for the success of the league, is for the media to really grab hold to what we're doing, what they're doing, and getting it out to the people to watch the game that we also love, and that is so exciting to watch. It's a beautiful game of basketball to watch, whether it's male or female. And what I would hope is people to start to get away from male, female. We know that. Can we get to a point where we're saying the athlete, man, these athletes are good at what they do? Because we as women put just as much work in what we do, and we love our work just as much as anyone else. We love being elite too. So it's really good to have the media to be a part of it. And the fans, we have the best fans in the world in New York City, by far the best.
One of the things that's been really interesting over the last 15 to 16 years, watching these young athletes come from college to the pros, is the transition that they make. They're superstars in college, they're dominant players in college, and then they come into the WNBA, and you have women who are older, who are stronger, who have better basketball smarts, who are also elite college players. And those superstars have a little transition. They're not the superstar when they hit the WNBA. They may become one very soon, but they have to learn the physicality of the game and the power of the game. And it's, T, maybe comment, pro basketball is different than college basketball, and you see it in the men's and women's teams as well.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I think those are really great points. I think a lot of it is the relationships that you develop when you come into the league. Who are the leaders on the team? Who are going to be your mentors when you're the rookie coming in? Who's going to help you make that transition and understand where you've been and where you're coming from? And then from the rookie side of things, being willing to accept that relationship and reach out and rely on those that have gone through that experience, and the coaches and the staff as well. But I think so much of it is player to player and helping cultivate that success within the team.
Right. Oh, wow. You said a mouthful there. And that just led me into the thing that I think is important for them to remain, to understand as well is you're going to always have your goals, individual goals. And there's going to be on this side, team goals. So how do you take those individual goals that you have and place them within the team goals? Because you got to be able to understand my individual goal, excellent. But how does that play a huge role in what the team is trying to do? And if those things don't connect, then it's hard to have a great team performance. And that's
You've been watching The Last Dance, haven't you?
Oh, I watched it. I'm keen on. I'm in on.
Jordan's transition, right? Like when he went from kind of like focusing on his individual goals to focusing on winning with his team, and that's when they started to win. So
it's a tremendous difference when you have your individual goals and team goals. If they don't match, it doesn't work. It has to match. You can't be on the field by yourself and the team is going in this direction, you're going in this direction, because it's selfish. You're on a road of your own. No, it's how do you piece that together with what the team is trying to accomplish? How do you do it? It's train the brain, create the game. That's the way we say it.
Mm-hmm. So Teresa, how do you counsel athletes in that transition? How do you teach them to still have their own ego strength that's going to make them great and work with a team at the same time? What are the key points that you give to an athlete?
I'll tell you, I don't want you to leave your ego outside the door. I want you to bring it in, because that tells me who you are. But that ego has to be tamed. It has to be tamed into what we are doing as a team. It is a team setting. And that it's important for them to know that the role that is given to you, the role that is given, I'm not taking anything away from you as an elite athlete, but this is the role that this team needs in order to be successful. And what you want them to do is accept the role and understand that role that is asked of you is so important to the success of the team. Each role that has been given to each player, everybody has to know that, man, what I bring to this team is valuable too. It's valuable. So the role that you take, the role that you embrace, you have to embrace that role knowing that it has to fit within what we're doing as a team. And once you tell them that how important the role is and what the reality is, once you embrace that role and piece it with the team setting, it's amazing what they feel like they can accomplish then, because they know their role is important. You're not just given a role to be given a role. You're given a role because it's important to the success of the team and the organization itself.
Spoon, you may not be light, but you are a light. You are definitely a light.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love this. I love you guys know I get fired up talking about this. I love this. I love it.
It's well worth it.
All right. We miss having you around.
I miss you guys too. And please trust me, you will see me. You know, New York is always in my heart. The Liberty is always in my heart. And that'll never leave. Never, ever.